Hey guys, it's Steven with InMotion Sport Spine here. A lot of my clients come to see me because of the obvious thing. I'm a chiropractor and we take care of a lot of low back pain. And I'm no stranger to it myself. I've had multiple run-ins with disc herniations through the years, my first being in college as a junior, deadlifting. I didn't know good technique at the time and I put myself in a bad spot. And that was my first kind of foray into the lumbar disc herniation world. Unfortunately, with lumbar disc herniations, they can hurt really bad and they can cause a lot of pain, whether it's in your back or into a leg, if it hits a nerve or a nerve root. And it can be, for a lot of people, really traumatizing. You know, it's not all that uncommon for people to talk about, hey, that was one of the most intense pains I've had in a long time or possibly ever. And what I see out of that is, you know, some people end up becoming a bit fearful of it coming back or having another problem. And even with the best intentions for rehab, I see a lot of clients that end up being very fearful of bending forwards again. You know, in the acute stages or where someone's really hurting, oftentimes that forward bend is painful. And we are coaching clients out of bending with their back if they needed to do something in front of them and bending with their hips. And what I try really hard to do is educate my clients that that is not a forever strategy. In fact, it's a short-term strategy because rounding our back, or the term flexion, is normal. To really restore a human back to their previous level of activity, we need to restore their ability to do the thing that they lost. So if you're one of those people that bending forward is, ow man, that really hurts, and we have worked you out of that temporarily where we're just bending with our hips as a substitute, that's great. But we do need a plan to start exposing ourselves to back rounding or flexion again. And I can't help but think about a client that I'm working with right now where she came into the office and for good reason was terrified to bend forward and let her back round because she was afraid the pain was going to come back. And everybody's situation's a little bit different and we have to take quite a few things into consideration. But if you're out there and you're thinking like, man, am I ever going to bend forward or round with my back again? You're not alone. It happens. People end up that way and they can get over rehabbed where they think they got to go through life moving really stiff and like a robot. So what I wanted to introduce you to is just a first phase or first step on how I might take a client that I think is ready and it's appropriate for them to start inducing some low back rounding through just some basic drills and some basic exercises. So the nice thing is they're all down here on the floor. The first one that we oftentimes start with is just like a child's pose or a posterior rock, whatever you might know it as, where we just start exposing the body to rounding the back. Again, so if this is like that middle zone, this is arched, this is rounded, right? We want to start just sinking our hips back, understanding that, hey, this is safe to do, this is okay. It's not really tugging on me from a gravity perspective very hard. My hands are here to support myself and I'm in control. We want to start breathing into this position, thinking about letting back go, breathing deeply and allowing those muscles to relax so we're not holding ourselves so stiff and rigid in this arched position where we've been protecting ourselves potentially for weeks, if not months, okay? If that goes really smoothly, which it oftentimes does, then we start dropping down onto elbows and we might do a little work here. We might do some breath here. Again, a lot of this is just exposing body and seeing how we tolerate it. As we tolerate that well, then we can go into like a thread the needle scenario where we can isolate one side more than the other. This oftentimes drags the lats into it as we get a big stretch on that area. And those lat muscles attached deep down here on the brim of our pelvis and into our back. So if you are somebody out there that unfortunately did have a bad back injury and has been told, hey, you can't round your back, maybe that advice did serve you initially and short term. I know it did for me when I had that problem. But you might find yourself at a point where, man, I just feel tight here all the time. A lot of the initial really bad back pain has kind of gone away. I need to start exploring natural or normal human movement again. And we got to remove that barrier for you. We've got to find a plan and start working at chipping away at it, getting that more comfortability or tolerance to flexing or rounding the low back. And that's just one of a slew of ways that we would guide you through that process.